Hi everyone, I'm Martin Hogan, and part of my role is to have career conversations with anybody, really. So, in this little animation, we're going to be talking about career conversations for students. So, whether you're doctor, nurse, midwife, allied health professional, these are how you have career conversations, but they're also the things you need to think about when you're thinking about your career and maybe taking next steps. But also when you qualify, the different options that there are out there for everyone. And I'm sharing some of my very colourful experiences in the last 20 something years. Oh no, it's not been 20 years since I qualified, has it? No. Anyway, it feels like a long time, and there isn't really any mistake that I haven't made or errors that I've bumped into. So in this video, we're going to be discussing that as well. So this always makes me laugh because the straight line is how I thought my career would go. I'd qualify, I'd stay at band 5 for a while, then I'd slowly progress up to band 6, band 7, band 8. But actually, how my career went was the squiggly line. So the aim was, my parents' aim was go to university, qualify, then thrive, find a speciality you love and stay in that speciality and progress. But actually, that wasn't what happened at all, and that my career has been very squiggly. But really, it's just to say that it's okay for your career to be squiggly because I've learned so much extra stuff and I've been exposed to so much other options and experiences that have only made me a more resilient leader working in healthcare. So I feel like there isn't anything I can't overcome or there isn't a problem I can't navigate through because I stayed at a band 5 for a very, very long time and was okay with that. I felt very competent clinically that I could work in any speciality in a hospital, in the community. I worked in different countries as well. I didn't even flinch. You could have picked me up and put me in any speciality, and I would have been like, yeah, I can do this. But that's been brilliant. But when I compare myself to my friends, they've kind of had that straight line up and they don't have the same confidence I have actually. So whilst I had FOMO and maybe a little bit of jealousy, they don't have the experience I have and they can't work in the areas that I can work. And that's really interesting. So never compare yourself to others because it is the death of all joy. Comparison to others is the death of all joy. So don't do a Martin and go, oh, your friend's got a promotion and they're now a chief nurse and you're not anywhere near that. Well, maybe that's not for me, and that's okay. It's okay to be squiggly. So what I said, horizontal line, that's what I was trying to think of. Horizontal line careers, like all of my friends, you know where you're going, you know which speciality you're going into, you understand what lights your fire, you know the end game. So good for you. You're very lucky and actually quite rare. Most of us have absolutely no idea where we're going or what we're doing or what we're supposed to be working towards. And if you are a squiggly person like me, squiggly line careers, you have no idea where you're going. You don't have a clue which speciality you want to work in. There are too many choices at this stage when you're just about to qualify or you're in your first or second year. You've got no idea. You don't know what lights your fire. You don't know what the end game is. This has been every minute of every day. It's very common to feel this. Like lots of us feel this. I honestly qualified, what year is it now? 2025, and I qualified in 2008. Oh my God, that's such a long time. But I still don't know where I'm going. I still don't know what the next 5 years look like. And I haven't known for the last 12 years of my career. So that's fine. Lots of people feel like that. Most of us feel like that, but we ended up doing okay. Don't worry, but do keep the faith. Keep the faith in the fact that you don't know what tomorrow brings in not just career conversations, in anything in life.
So this is a career conversation template that I've invented because lots of people talk to me about their career. So I feel like I'm well experienced and well versed on talking to people about their career and their development. But the kind of thematics of what people want to tell me in career conversations are often around interview skills, revalidation, undertaking further study, interview skills, looking at the four pillars of nursing or the four pillars of healthcare, So that this template helps guide and facilitate the career conversation. But I start off with setting an aim. So what do people want to talk about? Because I could talk for England and I could talk about it all day, but to keep our time protected, because time is precious, we set an aim of what you want to come and speak to me about. So is it an interview skill? Is it looking at your revalidation? Is it understanding further study or undertaking further study? And then I ask you about your nursing journey, but can be your healthcare journey. So how did you get where you are currently? Like, what study have you done in the past? What experience have you got? What work experience do you have? What interview experience do you have? So I get people to talk about their journey and how they got where they are today, not physically, not they got on a plane and then got a bus, but how, what study and experience have they have. And then I look at the four pillars of health, of nursing, so research, leadership, advanced clinical skills, education, and I look at what people feel they have, but also what areas people don't feel they have as well, and then looking at local opportunities. So for example, in education, lots of people say to me that they don't feel they've got formal education. I always say to healthcare staff, like, we're the best teachers, we teach all the time, we teach patients new skills, we teach their loved ones how to administer medicine or change tubes and do all of that kind of stuff. So actually we do have lots of teaching skills, but it might not be formal teaching, but within all local organisations you will have education programmes that you could go and teach on and practice and do presentations and stuff to gain your experience in doing that. So look at what people have, what people don't have, and then looking at an action plan of how we would get people to have those skills to develop. And then if it's undertaking revalidation for nurses, it's every 3 years, or undertaking further study, they're the kind of questions that I ask people and get people to think about whilst we're having the career conversation to make it really fruitful and useful. In this, what I'm trying to say with this image here of people going over the bridge is sometimes I think in my career, what has worked really well is I've just given things a go, even if I don't know how to do something, why or where. It's all really good experience. So I've gone and worked in areas. So basically worked in A&E, cardiology, had never worked in oncology, went off to work in research, went back to work in intensive care, moved all over, went to the community, and then I thought, oh, I'd quite like a promotion. I feel like it's time. So I went to get a job in acute oncology, having never worked in oncology. And when I interviewed for that role, they said, oh, well, you don't really have any oncology experience, and you're doing now the worst possible role in oncology, acute oncology, where you deal with everything, and no day is the same, and your role isn't necessarily defined by how many people you see, but it's all the advice and leadership and communication and teaching that you do. So I did get the job because I had lots of acute experience, but zero oncology experience. So I had to spend the first year really with my head in a book, learning everything I could possibly learn about oncology. But it was a really good experience. And when I look back, that's the job I had for the longest. It was the hardest job emotionally I had as a Macmillan specialist nurse in acute oncology, emotionally very, very distressing. But I could feel the impact that I made, and I felt that I brought something additional because I had loads of acute experience and I was learning lots about oncology. So sometimes just giving things a go and believing in yourself is really important. You haven't failed just because it didn't work. So that job that I left after 3 months, I didn't fail. It just wasn't right for me at the time. And looking back on that, I probably saved myself lots of therapy sessions and lots of distress having left because that was the right thing for me. So my top tips, do what makes your heart sing. So whatever brings you joy, go and do that for a job. We could all save a lot of money by doing what makes our heart sing. And the more happy you are at work, the longer you're likely to stay, the longer your partners are likely to stay around, your family are likely to be less stressed, and you'll have a smile on your face. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying you're always going to know and things change, but that should be your kind of focus. It shouldn't be the job. It should be what the job gives you and what the job brings you and the opportunities that it it has on you. I've had friends who've stayed in roles because they've had a lovely line manager, and that line management relationship and support has encouraged them to flourish. Whereas I've been a bit hit and miss. Sometimes I've had amazing ones, sometimes I've had awful ones. And when I've had the awful ones, I don't feel I'm able to thrive and flourish. So do what makes your heart sing, and lean into the fear and do it anyway. So if something scares you, lean into it. I feel scared probably 5 times a week. Or I have to do this big presentation, or I have to write this policy, or I have to do this thing. I lean into the fact, and then when it's done, I go, oh, well done, Martin. That was really good. You've learned. You're constantly growing and improving. You won't regret giving something a go, but you will regret not giving something a go. So with me, I don't apply for stuff because I go, well, you're not clever enough for that, or not got enough experience enough for that. And then a colleague or someone I know gets it who has the same as experience as me, and I think, oh, I really regret not putting myself out there more. Big thing I've learned over the last 3, 4 years specifically is building your network, particularly nursing, midwifery, doctors, allied health professionals. The more people you have in your network at various different points of their career, the more empowered you are to understand next steps, or what your journey should look like, or what your journey could look like. And always ask people questions. So I have what I call invisible mentors. So I follow people on social media, and I don't ask anything of them because I know they are booked and busy, but I take notes. Like, I've watched them do a presentation, I take notes. I go, wow, that was a really good presentation. I'd like to be more like that. So I follow people I respect and look up to, and I try to emulate them and be a bit more like them. And that helps improve my leadership as well. And sometimes I do approach them and ask them questions like, well, why did you do that? And how did you get there? And like, how did you navigate that uh, situation? Or how did you get on that course? Like, what has that brought you? Because it's really important to ask questions and have informal chats with employers or educators or leaders within your field, because they will know stuff that you might not know. So having a good understanding of what courses are available in your organization, or what your building block courses should be to get you to the next step. And always look at what skills you have that are transferable. So things outside of healthcare, so leadership, for example, you're a natural born leader, and play into that. And then look at things that you're not so great at. Like, I'm not great at I'm not great at IT, so I'm trying to put myself on courses where I get better. And I'm often in an office with lots of Gen Zs, and they're like doing things on Excel and typing in codes, and that's creating a graph for them. And I think, oh, I'd have to get someone to do that for me. So updating and refreshing your skills in whatever the area is really important. Also, learn from your mistakes. They are the best lessons. So the more you fall over and cut your knee, the more your knee will become stronger, the less it will hurt. So learn from your mistakes and embrace them. We all make them. I've made some terrible mistakes in my time. I've chosen the wrong area to work. I've chosen the wrong team. Um, I've made lots and lots of mistakes, but I've learned from them. You're not married to your job. You can always leave. Like, that's the most empowering thing I think I can say, that you're in charge of your career and you get out what you put in. So sometimes I do additional things, like I might offer to host something on my day off at a big organization, because that's A, good exposure for me, B, good confidence and development for me, and gets my face recognized as well. And people go, oh yes, he did that wonderful presentation. Oh, isn't he interesting? And having that sort of reputation, kind of, just not that I'm competitive, but it is kind of competitive in your career. When you're all applying for the same job, you want to be seen as different from the rest. So sometimes I do those things to kind of give me the edge. And then I also think, well, I can put that on my CV, that they can't. But whatever you do, don't do a Martin. Don't hold yourself back because the voice in your head says you're not good enough. That voice is not your friend. It's actually your enemy, and we need to quieten that down. And you can have my motto for free. So make your motto that you're continuously improving. So continuous improvement, and then let it become a behavior of yours. So I continuously think every year I'm going to do an extra course, I'm going to go and have an experience, or I'm going to focus on developing something. So I'm continuously improving and developing. Now, I'm very famous for my goats. So Martin is known for his goats. So this is just a bit of fun. So this is called a check-in tool. And I use this for boring meetings. I use this in clinical supervision as a way of checking in with people I'm talking to. But in this video, it's kind of to think about, how do you feel about your career? So I feel a bit like a 4 with my career, not really always sure where I'm going, not really sure what I should be focusing on, and sometimes feel quite exhausted not knowing that. So hopefully no one else feels like a 4, but if you do, feeling like a 4 is perfectly normal. That's perfectly acceptable. Just give yourself time. Like, I'll figure something out. It will be fine. So then I ask people to think about them, where they are on their Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and what would good look like. So if we look at this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I get people to point at which number they feel they are. So often people say to me, I'm Martin, I'm a 5 or I'm a 4. And I say, okay, well, you're a 5. What would being a number 1 look like? How would you achieve going from survival to self-actualized? Is it doing further development? Is it working on something of yourself? So if you don't like public speaking, is it working on practicing and then doing public speaking and going off and doing public speaking at a big conference? And then looking at how you do that. And I, as the career conversation leader, the person leading the career conversation, might give you an action plan, or we might agree an action plan of what you're going to focus on within the next 6 months to a year, and then it's over to you to do those things. So, okay, yes, this is a very good tool about thinking about where you are, but this has been adapted for the workplace as well. So thinking about the workforce and where the workforce find themselves. So now you've done or had a think about your own Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What are you going to do about it? And most importantly, who could help you achieve the next steps of your ascension up the pyramid? Could that be having a mentor, having discussions with your friends, someone through social media, someone you can follow for guidance and advice? Would it be undertaking further study? Would it be having coaching or a type of supervision as well to work through the areas that you feel you need to improve, or how you get to the top of your pyramid? And finally, it's to remember that you are unique. There's only one of you, unless you're a twin, but you're still unique. And that is your first superpower. Your uniqueness is your superpower. Our difference is a superpower. And play to your strengths. I believe in you. You've got this. And if you want to follow me on socials, I'm a 41-year-old man on TikTok. I've bought things from TikTok. Setting up a YouTube. I've got a YouTube page as well. And there's my contact as well if you want to email me or follow me on other social medias. So well done. Be brave, be bold, be brilliant. All the best.